aware of the early 80s, these institutions were doing very well. But, how do you think, they can really get up again and run? Because that's the answer we are trying to get from here. I mean, in your honest opinion as a citizen of Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I was trying to answer in this talk I gave. One statistic that I always go back to in answering your question indirectly was how large-scale commercial agriculture grew in Zimbabwe. Remember, it wasn't until early 1900s that the government then decided, no, this is not a mining country. We need agriculture, right? When they started pushing agriculture, remember what they did? 1908, they built a Department of Agriculture to support large-scale commercial agriculture. And up to 1950, was it 48 or 50? When I was Connex, 48 or 50? I think 1950. The Department of Connex, which was the extension wing for the commercial farmers, was not built until 1950, 60 years later. Okay, why? So I tried to understand why would they go on for such a long period and they only have a Department of Agriculture? Well, the answer, I think, was that it wasn't until mid-40s, isn't it, when you started really seeing hybrid maize varieties coming through. I mean, it was all kind of developing the inbred lines up to, but from the mid-40s, whether it was maize or tobacco or whatever, now you're beginning to see some well-developed varieties getting into the market. By 1948, the Department of Agriculture was overwhelmed by the number of farmers who would knock on their door asking for advice, specific advice, and specific training. Okay. So that's how Connex was then born out of the Department of Agriculture. For smallholder farmers, it was the opposite. 1926, the government decided we don't need research, we don't need to understand what these farmers are doing. All we need is to demonstrate to them what can be done. So in 1926, they appointed, you remember Alford, as the agriculturalist for natives, or something, that was his title. And they started giving those master farmer certificates. And it was, remember what the master farmer certificate said on it? When you pass the master farmer training under the Alford system, you get a certificate that says, this is to certify that Mandiva Mbarukuni has now abandoned primitive methods of cultivation. And is now adopted crop rotation, blah, blah, blah. So the idea of an extension system, to me, was defined better by the movement from Department of Agriculture to Connex. In other words, the tested technologies, the ideas that are working, they are connected to the markets, these farmers. They are not waiting for an extension agent to come and they are looking for them. They are hunting them down. Okay. But up until today, I don't think we never got to that level where this volume of technologies that put money in farmers' pockets are so voluminous that they could have a demand-driven extension system. And the government then embarked on this free inputs and all that kind of stuff. The dependency syndrome has worsened the problem. Then the NGOs joined in, gave more inputs. Yes. Sorry to further depressions, but the point is, it has to be a project approach. I don't see these institutions today, under the current configuration, voluntarily going through those 3 steps, but rather use your program to stimulate it, to try it out on specific things. Instead of rushing for innovation platforms straight, which can work and which will work, but I think your innovation platforms approach generally works better as a general purpose vehicle in this kind of environment where you don't have any really vibrant value chains where you can say we pushed it except for tobacco. You know, so a general purpose innovation platform may do a better job, because what you are then doing is you're interesting all the key players to say, let's chase whatever value chains in our project areas. We then get the relevant institutions coming together, and then within that, you designate your centers of excellence, but at a more distributed level. Because you realize that on this value chain of supplying tomatoes to whatever, it's more important to deal with the market failures than you are, well, it's more important that is actually the training of the farmers in the technology, then maybe. You see what I'm getting at? But the director of Agritech's agreeing to mix his or her budget with DRNSS and sharing stuff, because that's what the science agenda is. When you are serious, then the first thing you do is you share facilities and you share stuff, isn't it?
Particularly when the resources are limited.
Yeah. Now, if you don't share facilities and stuff, then you can forget about sharing anything else.